What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and tonight we're going to be talking about the Season 1 events, weekly challenges, and rewards for Black Ops 6 and Warzone. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and as a big reminder, there's plenty of brand new articles going up on detonated.com for those who want to stay up to date with all things Call of Duty. Earlier today, a bit of an overview trailer did end up dropping for Season 1 of MP. We got a nice new look at our 6v6 maps coming on November the 14th. We talked about these maps a couple of times already in recent days, but enjoy some footage of them in the background as you'll see, and then I'll put up some campaign gameplay of other areas of Avalon that we may end up also exploring in the future, whether it's an MP or even zombies. Now today officially marks the end of the PlayStation exclusivity deal for Call of Duty. We've seen a deal with PlayStation since, Black Ops 3 2015. Today officially marked the end, meaning that all combat packs that were exclusive to PS Plus should now be released on Xbox and PC from MW3. Every previous combat pack from MW2, Vanguard, Cold War, those have already ended up dropping on every other platform, but now there's officially no content exclusive to a specific console when it comes to Call of Duty. As far as weekly challenges go for Black Ops 6, a recent episode of the COD Pod did confirm that those aren't going to be returning inside of BO6. However, Treyarch does have a different plan in mind for how to update the game fairly frequently with good rewards. That's what we're going to be focusing on here in this video, since there were a couple of things confirmed with the Season 1 blog post that I think give us a nice hint as to how all of that is going to work. So let me first recap that MW3 was the first Call of Duty to offer weekly challenges, and obviously we've seen different type of challenge events before in several Call of Duty titles, where sometimes you have an event that lasts a couple of weeks, and maybe on some of the weeks of that event being live, newer challenges or rewards get added in. MW3 was on a pretty consistent schedule where just about every week after MW3 launched, there was a new reward you can earn by doing up to 5 challenges for that week alone. And what they ended up doing is, with every season, there would be about 4 aftermarket parts released in a row, so weeks 1 through 4 would cover those. Week 5 would be the launch of Reloaded, featuring likely a ranged weapon or a special reward for doing those weekly challenges, and that would be separate from like the classified sector opening up with additional content. Then week 6 and 7 would also offer aftermarket parts again, but then week 8 would offer a blueprint. And if you had done all 8 weeks worth of challenges for that season, that just consists of 5 challenges for each week, then you'd be given an animated and universal camo that can then be applied to all weapons. Now this was a cool system that guaranteed I went live every Wednesday to go ahead and cover that, and I think it was just a great system to boost replayability across the board for all Call of Duty players who maybe dropped off of a new season after like a week or 2 of playing. It kept people coming back, and it was a great way to keep players engaged all 8 weeks of a new season. Now in my opinion, so long as nothing necessarily leaks out for a new season in advance, such as the rewards or what the challenges are, it'll be exciting to see people enjoy and experience whatever the new content is every week as they return to the game. Now the Season 1 blog does confirm the first event for Black Ops 6 called Hitlist. Now we'll get back to the release date in a second because it's regarded as an in-season update, but the event does mention that there's going to be a board of contracts, and I'm assuming those are just the challenges you can do across any game mode. I know the Hitlist event makes it sound like we have to go after some actual NPC characters since we're taking down the mob over in Avalon, but I'm assuming that's just a fancier way of saying there'll be actual challenges you can complete, whether it's an MP, zombies, Warzone, or all of the above. And we already know DLC weapons like the Krieg and the SOG are going to be featured on certain pages of the Battle Pass, but you do notice in the hit list artwork for this event that the Sarin 9mm secondary, a power drill melee weapon, the hand cannon, and the new Shadow perk are all on this artwork. So with that in mind, it is implied that those are going to be event rewards throughout Season 1. Now what's interesting though is that although the event is listed as an in-season update, the hand cannon and Shadow perk are listed as launch content. So does that mean hit list starts day 1 and those are the first 2 rewards you can get? Then later in season, additional challenges get unlocked where you can then go ahead and unlock the Sarin 9mm, the power drill. Very interesting to think about, because what's also weird is the Sarin secondary is listed as a special event reward, whereas the other items I listed are just event rewards, not special ones. So the cleaver melee weapon is also listed as an event reward, reward, and I want to make things clear, right? It doesn't exactly mean that all of these weapons and items have to be locked to just the hit list event. Maybe some of these items are for other events that we're not going to be seeing until Reloaded. Just keep that in mind. But as far as aftermarket parts go, I made a full Season 1 weapons video just a couple of days ago, and yes, it looks like aftermarket parts are back to an extent, just through these new conversion attachments, which are very similar to what we saw in MW3, but one of those parts is in the Battle Pass, so we'll of course be getting that on November 14th, whereas 3 other parts are going to be event rewards, which I'm assuming could be featured through this hit list event or just another event entirely. Now, although the release window for hit list says in season, if it didn't say that, here's what I would assume, right? What they're going to start doing is, instead of offering weekly challenges that are separate from an event, they're just going to have events that offer new challenges each week, but with very valuable rewards, including ranged weaponry. So let's think about this math for a second, right? I already mentioned the hand cannon and the shadow perk, which are launch updates, apparently with hit list, even though hit list is listed as an in-season challenge event. Not sure why that's the case. Could have been a typo, but I mentioned the Sarin 9mm secondary. You have the cleaver, the power drill, and can't forget about the Maelstrom shotgun and even the AMR sniper. So that's about 5 items total, or 5 weapons. Add that with the 3 conversion kits that are coming, and those could all be some weekly challenge updates for the hit list event. What do you know, each season for Call of Duty in the last few years would typically last around 8 weeks, and that's exactly what we saw in Modern Warfare 3, allowing for there to be a reward each and every week. So is it possible there was a bit of a typo in the blog and the hit list event actually starts day 1, with the first reward being either the hand cannon or the shadow perk, then either or could release during week 2, then there's 6 other items I mentioned just a second ago that could be spread out across the next 6 weeks of season 1. So instead of there being weekly challenges, there's just events that may last an entire season, whereas we'll still end up getting events, which we'll talk about in a second, that do just last maybe a week or 2, but there could be one big event every season themed around the narrative of where the post-launch story is going. In this case, it's Avalon and our hit list for certain mobs, so they'll have that event that kickstarts the season and lasts all the way until the end. But I do want to mention that 2 upcoming Warzone perks for Season 1, called Veteran and Reflexes, those are confirmed to also be event rewards at some point during Season 1 Reloaded. So these may not be tied to the hit list event, but may in fact be tied to other events that end up dropping in around December. Now, you can disagree with this down below in the comments, but I don't think this is exactly a drip feeding type scenario where instead of just allowing players to earn every item day 1, they're going to spread things out. I think if you're going to have an event, like I mentioned back during MW2, if you're going to have an event that does last several weeks and you're going to unlock certain challenges each week, hopefully they just make those rewards worthwhile so that people out there aren't frustrated that they have to wait an extra 2, 3, 4 weeks to get some simple XP tokens and small cosmetics or a blueprint that doesn't look that great. If they're waiting for a ranged weapon, I think that wait is definitely worth it. I also think it's great to prolong your season a little bit to ensure that players have reasons to come back every single week, and MW3 did a great job just supporting multiplayer all year long. Now, something worth mentioning is that we're not just getting the hit list event in Season 1 of Black Ops 6. They mentioned multiple events are coming specifically with the mid-season. Now, we have to wait and see what the terminology exactly is, or what it means, so to speak, with, you know, launch window, in-season, mid-season. We have to know for sure, and we're going to find out in a few weeks if mid-season truly does refer to Reloaded, because we've seen terminology misused before with certain blog posts where they'll say something is in-season, but it actually meant after Reloaded, whereas in-season typically means at any point before the mid-season update. But they confirmed they'll be the finest cosmetic loot that you can go ahead and unlock by finishing these events. One of the events is also going to be pretty zombies focused, and they also confirmed the return of CODMAS, right? We're going to see the holiday Nuketown variant come into the game at some point, I want to say around December 12th, when Reloaded is likely going to drop. So with that, it looks like we're going to have maybe hit list within the first week of launch. Then we'll end up getting CODMAS, a zombies focused event, and probably something else after December the 12th and before the end of Season 1. But just to remind you guys, in the new COD HQ launcher, if you head over to the store tab, that's going to be updated with all Black Ops 6 bundles as packs start to release with Season 1, and you can also check out the stockpile over on Detonated to also get a nice archive of every previous bundle that's ever released, plus every upcoming pack that will be tracked with Black Ops 6 and beyond. But an event tab, which currently doesn't exist in Black Ops 6, is going to be joined by a Battle Pass tab once you boot up Black Ops 6, as Season 1 releases. As of right now, neither of those tabs do exist, because I do believe both of these tabs are going to function a little bit differently from what we saw in Modern Warfare. We already know the Battle Pass is getting a bit of an overhaul as far as how it's laid out. It's going to be through pages instead of a big map of certain sectors, so expect some changes with what the UI may look like for the upcoming event. Now, like I said on the podcast, I'm okay with there not being an event every single week. You can argue that's a step down from the way MW3 handled things, but I think so long as every event reward is worth your while, then it's okay to spread events out a little bit or have just a limited amount each and every season. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the return of challenge events and even the possibility of weekly challenges in Season 1 of Black Ops 6? Leave all your thoughts down below. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.